Good morning. My name is Teresa Hype Murray. My pronouns are she, her. I have the joy of serving on your board of trustees. It is my pleasure to welcome you here this morning. So welcome. If you are here for the first time, thank you for joining us. We invite everyone present in the sanctuary today to join us in our in-person community time immediately following the service. Unity Temple's core values are you ready? Connection, transformation, justice, and acceptance. Our mission is to embody these core values in our daily lives, welcoming all, inspiring compassion, nurturing wonder, and serving community. Opening today is bidding on our fabulous items available at this year's Unity Temple auction. Woohoo! Yes, give a round of applause. So bid early and bid often. Information and assistance with bidding will be in Unity House after the service. Now, also is a great time to join our Soul Connection small groups. This is an opportunity to connect with others in small groups and reflect on how you live your life. To meet people like myself, I'm one of the leaders, and all the other leaders, you can find out more at the table at Community Hour today. Our pulpit guest this morning is Unity Temple's member, you want to stand? Gabriela Zapata Alma. Gabriela is a social worker and author who values being a community member, partner, and a parent, and a future ancestor. What a cool way to envision oneself, right? We are also glad that you are with us today, all of you. Whether you are here in person or here virtually, we hope you find the service inspiring and meaningful. I invite those of you here to take a moment to greet one another.
I'm Reverend Emily Gage. My pronouns are she and her. Our Chalice leader today is Danny. Danny loves birds, and she hopes to grow up to be an ornithologist. And Danny is very excited that their mother is preaching the sermon today. Please join with me in the words of our Chalice lighting. We are Unitarian Universalists. This is the church of the open minds, the loving hearts, and the helping hands. We take care of the planet Earth and each other.
I've got a river of life flowing down on me, makes the lame to walk and the blind to see, opens prison doors, sets
Good morning. My name is Reverend Roger, and my pronouns are he, him. I am a person who usually doesn't have much problem sleeping at night. Like a lot of you, though, I'm guessing I've had more problems lately. Lying awake some nights in fear, my mind begins to get revved up as I think about immigrants rounded up, deported to who knows what, except it's going to be hard. When I think about trans people being scapegoated and losing basic human rights, I think about betrayal of allies in Ukraine. The list goes on. Sometimes I think about things that are a little closer to home and hearth. One adult child of mine works for Social Security. He helps people with disabilities claims as a lawyer. The other kid is a lawyer for Child Protective Services in a state with a new governor who's trying to replicate what's going on in Washington. So, though both lawyers, both have chosen a path that primarily is about service to the greater good. According to Political Russell Vote, the director of Office of Management and Budget, a primary architect of Project 2025, said this about federal workers last October in a private event that someone recorded. When they wake up in the morning, referring to federal workers, we want them to not want to go back to work because they are increasingly viewed as villains. We want to put them into trauma, end of quote. It's my kid he's talking about. It's some of your loved ones. It's some of you here. It's millions of people motivated by a desire to serve the common good. Margaret Chase Smith, during the McCarthy years, have you no decency? Well, after one of those fear-filled nights a few weeks ago, Reverend Emily and I had the opportunity to talk with Gabriella and Gabriella's husband, and we both experienced in that conversation a rekindled spark of hope, a sense that all people of goodwill, us included, that we can do this hard thing, that we can win. And though I had planned to do the sermon today for like 9 months, it felt right for you all to hear the message from Gabriella that we got to hear. I needed that message on that day. I need it today. You might need it too. Whoever you are, wherever you are on your life's journey, wherever you are in the world, you are welcome here. Come, let us worship together. Our opening song today is number 1015, I Know I Can. I think we're doing, I meant to check, 1, 2, and 4 verses. If you're looking at it, those are the lyrics you'll see up there. You don't have to worry about the verses we're not doing. Let's rise in body and in spirit and join in singing.
Please remain standing if you're able, and join me in reading the words of our covenant. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve humanity in fellowship, to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with God.
My name is Jay Cohen. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a member of the spiritual care team. We always say love is the doctrine of this congregation, and one of the ways we embody that is by sharing the joys and sorrows of our lives. If you would ever like for one of your joys or sorrows to be shared from the pulpit, you can write it in the book outside the sanctuary before the service, or you can email us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. Also, our team is also here to listen to anybody in times of joy or sorrow. Feel free to contact any of us personally or look for our Blue Hearts at coffee hour, or just email us at spiritualcare@unitytemple.org. We have three items that were shared today. Terry Powell is delighted to announce the wedding of her son, Ernest, to his partner, Elizabeth. They're getting married this afternoon at a small little ceremony at an art museum in Kansas City, where Ernest's father will be the officiant. We send much love to Ernest and Elizabeth and the whole family. We wish to extend support and healing to our members Hannah Voigt and Bert Anderson as they deal with health challenges. So love to Bert and to Hannah. And Jane Coleman reports that 30 years ago, Norman Coleman's great-nephew, Robert Johnson, at the age of 16, was wrongfully convicted of murder. Jane and Norman are rejoicing today that with the help of the Innocence Project, Robert was recently freed from prison after 30 years. That's a big one. We know that many of us hold joys and sorrows in silence. If you would like to honor one of your joys or sorrows, we invite you to come up and put a rock into the bowl of water. The water represents the love, the container that's large enough to hold all of our joys and sorrows. We will do this ceremony in silence. Let us begin.
Let's join in prayer and meditation as we listen to these words of meditation from Gretchen Haley. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? In these days, we find ourselves too often stuck with these questions on repeat. What's going to happen? Will everything be okay? What can I do? We grasp at signs and markers, articles of news and analysis, Facebook memes and forwarded emails, as if the new zodiac capable of forecasting all that life may yet bring our way, as if we could prepare, as if life ever made promises of making sense or turning out the way we thought, as if we are not also actors in the still unfolding story. For this hour, we gather to surrender to the mystery, to release ourselves from the needing to know, the yearning to have it all already figured out, and also the burden of believing we either have all the control or none. Here in our song and our silence, our stories and our sharing, we make space for a new breath, a new healing, a new possibility to take root, a new possibility that is courage forged in the fire of our coming together and felt in the spirit that comes alive in this act of faith, that we believe still a new world is possible, that we are creating it already here and now.
If you are somebody who likes to come close when you're listening to a story, I invite you to come and sit down on the floor near me. I have a book today called You're Here for a Reason by Nancy Tillman. You're here for a reason. You certainly are. The world would be different without you by far. If not for your hands and your eyes and your feet, the world, like a puzzle, would be incomplete. Even the smallest of things that you do blossom and multiply far beyond you. A kindness, for instance, may triple for days or set things in motion in different ways. It travels much farther than you'll ever know, under the treetops, over the snow, till it's wandered and fluttered and floated and twirled, making things happen all over the world. You're here for a reason. It's totally true. You're part of a world that is counting on you. So don't be too worried if some days fall flat. Good things can happen, even from that. Life can be tricky, there isn't a doubt. You'll skin your knees trying to figure it out. But life works together, the good and the bad, the silly and awful and happy and sad, to paint a big picture we can't always see, a picture that needs you, most definitely. Remember that next time a day goes all wrong. To somebody else, you will always be strong. And that ball that you lose or that kite you let go could make someone's day. You just never know. You're here for a reason. If you think you're not, I would just say that perhaps you forgot. A piece of the world that is precious and dear would surely be missing if you weren't here. If not for your smile and your laugh and your heart, this place we called home would be minus a part. Thank goodness you're here. Thank goodness times two. I just can't imagine a world without you. You are loved. The end. Thanks for listening. We're going to send you out to Unity House.
Good morning, my name is Madonna Thielen, and I'm a proud member of the Immigration Justice Team. Each week, Unity Temple splits its offering evenly. One half supports the programs and mission of Unity Temple, and today the other half supports Migrant Ministries Legal Defense Fund. Unity Temple has collaborated with Migrant Ministries of the Catholic Community of Oak Park to respond to the needs of our new immigrant neighbors for the past 2 years. You'll be hearing more about Migrant Ministries throughout this month. One of their efforts is to support locally housed immigrants. And a pressing need for these families is to find enough money to cover lawyer and court costs, which can range from $1,500 to $5,000 for their asylum cases. Therefore, Migrant Ministries has started a legal defense fund to assist these families. In addition to the donated funds, each family will also contribute $300 to $400 a month for these legal fees. In my weekly volunteering with Migrant Ministries, I see how desperately poor these families are and how profound is their desire to build a home and a life away from the violence and terror and extreme poverty of the country that they had to leave, and the daily fear that they now face in our country. You can donate by placing cash or check in one of the circulating baskets, or by sending a check to Unity Temple office with Legal Defense Fund on the memo line. Directions for giving are in the order of service or on the screen. May we be transformed by our giving, and may the world be transformed by our gifts. Thank you.
reading today is The Creation Story by Joy Harjo. I'm not afraid of love or its consequence of light. It's not easy to say this or anything when my entrails dangle between paradise and fear. I am ashamed I never had the words to carry a friend from her death to the stars correctly, or the words to keep my people safe from drought or gunshot. The stars who were created by words are circling over this house, formed of calcium of blood, this house in danger of being torn apart by stones of fear. If these words can do anything, if these songs can do anything, I say bless this house with stars, transfix us with love.
To begin, let us call in our ancestors, the multitudes who passed before us. Join us now with your infinite wisdom. Let us call in our future ancestors, those to whom the future belongs. Join us now with your infinite foresight. Let us invite and honor all the noble creatures and elemental forces that make up our universe. We thank you for your patience and steadfastness. Join us now as we seek to learn from your infinite harmony. There's a lot of fear going around right now. I have felt its icy fingers squeezing my heart, have felt tectonic earthquakes in my gut as everything I know to be true is threatened, dismantled, smothered in a blanket of lies. Have felt the comfort of wrapping my arms around myself as I instinctually protect my vital organs from predators I have never met and yet would predate on me all the same. To be perfectly clear, I do not use the word predator here to label or other anyone, nor do I use the word predator to malign nature's food webs, which have evolved in balance and harmony over millennia. I use the word predator to describe those who actively engage in the behavior of predation, those who are choosing with each new day, each new moment, to attack and plunder our beloved communities and planet Earth. So while I reject the term predator as a label that would deny a person's humanity, I will use it to describe the behavior of those who would see my daughter, my brilliant and powerful daughter, cut off from life-saving medical care and safe schools. My daughter who seeks to use her brilliance to protect and repair the earth and wants nothing more but to visit a national park this summer for her 10th birthday. And yet, those who predate would shut down and pillage our national parks. I will use the word predator to describe the behavior of those who would see my father cut off from his social security and access to memory care. Cutting off a man who came to this country having survived a brutal dictatorship where he, when he was a 10-year-old boy, had to see his own father, a physician who served in the military and provided medical care to the people of their small town, regardless of their ability to pay. He had to see his own father abducted from their home by the dictator's police while they were listening to a baseball game on the radio, who at 10 years old had to find a way to protect and provide for his younger siblings, had to suffer being shunned by the close-knit community who was afraid that if they associated with him, they too would be abducted and tortured. All the while searching for his father, who was tortured for years before finally returning home. Having survived this dictatorship, my father came to this country in search of an American dream and dedicated nearly 60 years of his life to serving veterans, children, working class people, people living with disabling conditions, and community mental health. My father, a man who lived a life of service until his health no longer allowed him, despite his every wish to continue being of service. And still, I do not use the word predator to merely label any person, as I will never strip away a person's humanity and their sacred potential to make a new choice, repairing the harms they have caused. I too have felt fear, and know I will feel afraid again. For you see, the fear is real. It's here. It's not by mere accident. It's not some byproduct of change or transition. Fear is a tool being purposely wielded in hopes that we will forget who we are, what we stand for, fall for the lies, the fabricated realities, so that we unwittingly surrender our power. Activating our fear response, weaponizing our very nervous system in an attempt to control us and neutralize our collective power. So I'm here to say, our fear response is not the enemy. Our fear response, also known as our survival response, is an ancient alarm system notifying us of potential danger. It is genius made flesh, passed across species and down through the ages, because it is so good at keeping us alive when we are faced with an immediate physical threat. It is our internal fire alarm. It is the dog barking at the window at a passerby, as my dogs often do. But imagine a life, a community, a world where we let fear guide our choices. Imagine filling in the blank. In fear we trust. We've all seen where that road leads. A gasping nightmare of despair, isolation, betrayal of ourselves and our beloveds. Exactly what would benefit predators who only come to glut themselves on us, the people, to glut themselves on our animal and plant relatives, to glut themselves on our precious planet Earth in their ravenous plundering of rare earth minerals and anything else that they decide is a resource, theirs to use and abuse. Just as our fire alarms and our cherished pets aren't the enemy, neither is our very ancient survival response. So when fear comes, as fear will come again, notice fear, thank fear, investigate with kindness, giving ourselves and others grace when we are once again clutched in its icy grip. And remember, fear has no place in leading our choices or behaviors. The same way my fluffy rescue dogs can't possibly know if the passerby is a friendly neighbor or an apex predator who must be chased out. Seek solace, comforting ourselves and others as we sit with fear. I remember an evening in the early days, 3 or 4 weeks ago. Right. Might feel like 10 lifetimes, but 3 or 4 weeks ago. I realized I needed poetry now more than ever. I turned to Khalil Gibran, an author who is often read aloud by my maternal grandfather. I started alone, reading to myself, and as I trembled and read and sighed and cried, my partner and daughter joined me. They huddled close to me on either side and let me read aloud to them, waiting patiently as I often had to pause to sob and gasp and return to reading. They checked in with me to see if I wanted to keep reading or if I wanted some personal space, as I am a lover of solitude as well. And I told them how wonderful it was to have them near me, pressed on either side of me, sharing the words that have been spoken in my family through generations. My daughter asked why I cried, and I responded with my truth. I explained, I'm carrying a lot of pressure and tension right now. Crying is the way that my body can be present with my tension. We continued reading, taking as many breaks as I needed to cry, gasp, and tremble. I don't remember which exact atrocities or which horrifying realization had gripped me in that moment. But what I do remember is the love passed down generations, the love shared with those nearest to me, and the first line of that book: let love, human and frail, command the coming day. That line has been my clarion call each day since. And each day since, it becomes clearer and clearer exactly what we stand to lose if we allow fear instead of love to govern us. The sci-fi horror that will haunt us for generations if we fill the blank with, in fear we trust. In its stead, we must fill that blank with our values, with what makes us who we are, with what matters to us most at our core. Let us join together and fill that blank with our UU values. As I recall each of them, I invite you to imagine what our lives, our communities, our world will look like when we are led by our values. Interdependence. We honor the interdependent web of all existence and acknowledge our place in it. In interdependence, we trust. Together. In interdependence, we trust. Pluralism. We are all sacred beings, diverse in culture, experience, and theology. In pluralism, we trust. You got it. Justice. We work to be diverse, multicultural, beloved communities where we all feel welcome and can thrive. In justice, we trust. Transformation. We adapt to a changing world. In transformation, we trust. Generosity. We cultivate a spirit of gratitude and hope. In generosity, we trust. And finally, equity. We declare that every person is inherently worthy and has the right to flourish with dignity, love, and compassion. In equity, we trust. It is up to each of us to choose how we will fill that blank, what we will put our trust in and allow to guide how we show up each day. And as those who would predate on us in our world continue their attempts to strangle us with our own fear, we can become a wind and slip loose from their grasp. The only power they have over us is the power we give them. Ink on paper has no power until there is a person who acts based on that ink, acts either out of shared malice or obeys out of fear. Do not believe the lie that you are powerless. Do not hand over your power out of fear. It only emboldens them. Do not obey. Resistance is fertile. It blossoms and grows outward even in the starkest of places. Breathe loose. Breathe wild. Breathe in all the luscious air gifted from our plant and algae relatives who miraculously turn sunlight, the light from our closest star, into the very air we breathe. And as that sacred gift of sunlight, starlight transformed to air reaches every corner, every crevice of our beings, allow it to illuminate this fundamental truth. We will win. This is the oldest battle, predating history itself. Love, justice, righteousness, however you describe the creative, generative force of life, where we all sing in a sacred circle of balance and harmony, always wins. Cement in yourself now as a seal on your tender and loving spirit. We have already won. The only question that remains is how many turns the path to victory needs take. It reminds me of a passage I recently came across in my rereading of The Art of War by Sun Tzu, a favorite of mine that I revisit each year or so because of the ancient wisdom it carries in preventing war, and if conflict cannot be avoided, how to resolve it with minimal harm. In his timeless wisdom, Sun Tzu writes, plan for what is difficult while it is easy. Do what is great while it is small. The most difficult things in the world must be done while they are still easy. The greatest things in the world must be done while they are still small. How we show up now, the choices we make, no matter how small, have ripple effects that decide how long and arduous our path to victory will be. Plan for what is difficult while it is still easy. Do what is great while it is small. The most difficult things in the world must be done while they are easy. The greatest things in the world must be done while they are small. The time is now. Whether we're afraid or not, the moment calls us to show up with our full selves, our unique strengths, skills, talents, relationships, and joy, to boldly reaffirm who we are and what we stand for. No matter how some may seek to manipulate us with fear, lies, and intimidation. Their attacks only fuel our solidarity. We are rooted in interdependence. While you may see me tremble, you may see me cry, I often do. But know that I run to this fight with love and joy vibrating through my whole being. While fighting for our most inalienable of rights was not on my dance card for this year. And I grieve what we had planned for this year. I will forever and always seize any opportunity to reaffirm who we are and what we stand for in this life and any other that may follow until the liberation of all beings. So as you thank fear for its message, oh, hold on, I need to go back to something. Can't forget to say this part. I also want you to know that not every tremble, not every quake you feel is fear. Sometimes that trembling, that squeezing tension is in fact our own sacred sparks of power, growing and building, preparing us to meet this moment in time. For we are but simple creatures, specks of stardust in an ever-expanding universe. And so, as that power builds within us, of course, our houses made of calcium and blood must sometimes quake and tremble to make space for that rising power. So as you thank fear for its message, inviting us to notice ourselves, notice our surroundings, for its invitation to survive, also invite starlight, invite sunlight-made air, invite our shared values and our personal values to be our North Star and steady us on our path. For as Joy Harjo writes, if these words can do anything, if these songs can do anything, I say bless this house with stars, transfix us with love. All of evolution, all of creation, all things seen and unseen, calls us to rejoin the sacred balance and harmony of nature. And we call back together, in love we trust. In love we trust. Ashe.
I invite you to rise in body or in spirit and join in singing our closing hymn, number 108, in the larger hymnal. If these words can do anything, if these songs can do anything, I say, bless this house with stars, transfix us with love. Let's join together in the Chalice extinguishing words. Carry the flame of peace and love until we meet again.
Out and tell our story, let it echo far and wide. Make them hear you, make them hear you. How justice was our battle, and how justice was denied. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And say to those who blame us for the way we chose to fight, that sometimes there are battles which are more than black or white. And I could not put down my sword when justice was my right. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Go out and tell the story to your daughters and your sons. Make them hear you, make them hear you. And tell them in our struggle we were not the only ones. Make them hear you, make them hear you. Your sword can be a sermon or the power of the pen. Teach every child to raise his voice, and then, my brothers, then will a justice be demanded by 10 million righteous men. Make them